God, why? The question that never goes away, why? And you can ask it all you want to, but it's the question that rarely gets an answer. Even Jesus said, my God, why have you forsaken me? He didn't get an answer. The Bible doesn't say that God said anything back to him. So the next thing Jesus said was, into your hands I commit my spirit. I love that. I mean, all of our pain together would never equal what Jesus went through on the cross for us. We don't even begin to fathom. Yeah, how many of you know how heavy and icky and awful it makes you feel when you do something like you mess up really bad? I mean, not like one of these little sins. I mean, you really just... Okay, now just imagine having every sin of every human that ever lived put on you all at one time and trying to bear that. I can't even fathom the pain. And he said, why have you forsaken me? We often feel in our pain that we've been forsaken, but we never are, because he's Emmanuel, God with us, always with us, in us, under us, around us, never leaves us nor forsakes us. And I just feel very strongly tonight that I'm supposed to impress on you that no matter what you're going through, God is with you. And he will redeem it. He'll make something beautiful out of it. Now, this doesn't all just happen magically. There are things that you will need to do to cooperate with God. I'm not going to give you a list of do these 5 things and your problems will be over. There is no such list. I'm just going to tell you to follow God. Follow God. Whatever he shows you to do, do it. And if there's nothing for you to do, then stand firm and wait on him. Sometimes he takes a lot longer than we'd like, but he knows what he's doing. And the only time you realize that is after you've gone through it and you look back and see the good things that came out of what you went through. How many of you can say that you would not be the person you are today if you had not gone through some of the things that you went through? So, the question never goes away is why. But yet Proverbs 3:5-7 says, trust in the Lord with all your heart and do not lean to your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him and he will direct your path. Be not wise in your own eyes. I love that. It's almost like saying don't even think that you're smart enough to solve your own problems. If I could just do a Joyce Meyer translation on that, that's what I would say. Don't even think that you're smart enough to figure out what you should do in this situation. And I love this. It will be healing to your flesh and refreshment to your bones. In other words, when we stop trying to figure everything out, just turn everything over to God, it's healthy. It's, you know, a lot of people, and I don't say this in a judgmental way at all because I've had my share of physical issues, but a lot of people that are sick are just sick because they worry all the time. And their mind never shuts down. They're constantly thinking about something, constantly trying to figure something out, worrying about something all the time, upset about something all the time, angry about something all the time. When I look back at how I was 42 years ago when I started this journey with God and how I am today, I can honestly say I am definitely not the same person. Now, you may not feel like God is changing you or doing anything in your life because it happens just little tiny bits. And sometimes when you've got a mountain of problems, you may go 5 years and feel like you haven't changed that much at all, but really you have. It's just the devil wants you to focus on what's still wrong with you. Amen? Instead of looking at how far you've come. Don't look at how far you have to go. Look at how far you've come. And don't look at what you don't have. Look around you at what you do have and be thankful for those things. There are tests that come into our life. And a smart person learns to pass the test right away. Because in God's economy, in his school of life, you never fail. You just get to keep taking the test over and over and over and over until you finally pass it. I'll give you an example. When God first started, I was a Christian a long time before I got serious with God. I had the ticket to heaven, but I had no victory here at all. I believed in Jesus. I loved him as much as I knew how to. But I had every kind of character problem that you could possibly have. I mean, I was not a nice person, but I went to church every week, and I was even on the evangelism team. It's amazing how religious we can be without being Christ-like. Come on. And so I was very impatient. I'm still impatient, but not very impatient like I used to be. After 42 years, thank God I've made a little progress, but I still have a ways to go. And not so much being impatient with God, but just stuff and people and slow people. People that, how many of you know what I'm talking about? You know? And I had important things to do, and I was always in a hurry. And I didn't like it if other people didn't keep on my schedule. And so, the only way that God can get you to realize some things in your life is to keep letting you go through things that bring it out of you. I always say you never know how juicy an orange is till you squeeze it. I remember one day paying $1 for an orange, and this was like a long time ago when that was just like ridiculous. But it was so pretty. It was the most beautiful orange. And I was so hungry. And I took it out to my car, and I cracked it open, and it was dry and tasteless. And you know, that's the way a lot of Christians are. They're fine until you squeeze them. You put a little pressure on, and here comes the real me. And see, God can't change us until we come into agreement with him and ask him for his help. So we have to meet ourselves. We have to see ourselves as we really are, not just the way we think we are. I can think that I'm a forgiving person until somebody really hurts me, and God deals with me to forgive. I can think that I am very, very unselfish until God asks me to give up something that I really, really like. You know, nobody minds getting rid of all the junk in your closet that you haven't worn for 10 years. We send that to Goodwill and think that we're big givers. Well, they did you a favor taking it off your hands. But what about when God asks you to give away your favorite something or your only something? But you know, something God has taught me is once he puts his hand on something and claims it for kingdom work, if you keep it, you'll never enjoy it after that. But anyway, God used clerks in stores to just about drive me crazy. I mean, every time I'd go to the grocery store, I got so many lessons in the grocery store, it was ridiculous. Every time that I went to the grocery store, I would get a clerk there were somebody in front of me that had no prices on their items. And you'd have to go through all that rigmarole of waiting for them to try to find somebody to get the prices and on and on and on. And then maybe somebody didn't have enough money and they had to start taking stuff out. Well, now I would just pay for their groceries, but back then I was not nearly that generous. And so I finally got spiritual enough, I started praying about which line to get in. Even that didn't work. And I finally knew that God had my number when I went to a department store one day and tried to buy something, and I could find no clerk. So we went from slow clerk to no clerk. It's amazing how sometimes every 2 seconds somebody can say, can I help you? Can I direct you to something? Did you hear about our sale? And it's like, please don't tell me about that sale one more time. 20 people told me about the sale. And then you want to buy something and you can't find anybody to take your money. It's a setup. You might as well just say, I know what's going on. And I'm going to pass my test. Listen to this. We're only promoted after we've passed our tests. So every time you're going through a test, you need to just say, I've got a promotion coming. Come on, I've got a promotion coming. Nobody goes to second grade without passing tests at the end of first grade. Nobody goes to third grade without passing tests at the end of second grade. We understand that. It happens in fourth grade, fifth grade, sixth grade, seventh grade, eighth grade, ninth grade, 10th grade, 11th, 12th, and on into college. Why would it be any different when you step out into life? We have to pass our tests. These are spiritual tests before we are promoted. And there's so many great scriptures that back this up. And you know, I'm talking mainly tonight about not the major disasters that come into our life. You know, I don't think God uses those things to test us. That's the devil just trying to bring destruction into your life. But I do believe that God will hem us in behind and before and lay his hand on us and put us in places. I mean, how many of you have prayed, God, change me? Well, oh God, make me patient. Well, you know what the original Greek for the word patience says? It's a fruit of the Spirit that only grows under trial. You can't get it any other way. Because how can you be patient if you have nothing to be patient about? How can you learn to love the unlovely if everybody that you're around is a sweet, lovely person that's just like you and does everything you want them to do? So if you're working next to somebody that's obnoxious, it's not going to do you any good to quit that job, go get another one, because you'll just get some more on the next job. James 1:12 through 14, blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial. For when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life which God has promised to those who love him. Let no one say when he's tempted, I'm being tempted by God, for God cannot be tempted with evil, and he himself tempts no one. But each person is tempted when he's lured and enticed by his own desire. In other words, God never tempts us to sin. And when we're in difficult times, that's really when we are tempted to sin and do things that we shouldn't do. But he uses those times to bring things out of us that we don't really know. That, like, for example, I have never one time in my life been tempted to rob a bank. Now, I just have not. Has anybody here ever been tempted to rob a bank? Yeah. Oh, look, hands are up. You know, that's not an issue for me. But I've been tempted to stay mad at people that have hurt me. I've already told you that, trials, it says trials will bring out patience. Well, let me tell you, that brought a lot of stuff out of me before we ever got around to patience. So we have to know ourselves. We have to get to know ourselves. And when you see things that come out that surprise even you, you don't have to feel guilty and condemned. Thank God that he cares enough about you to show you those things so you can repent and ask God to help you get delivered from them.